Most of you know that I am the CEO and founder of Harper Slade. It's an advisory firm that helps companies cultivate environments where Black and brown talent can thrive, because we see that as the macroeconomic imperative of our lifetime. It is unfathomable for a country, for an organization, for any entity presenting itself as modern and relevant and competitive to build and maintain systems dependent on people that have only known marginalization, muting, stunting, and diminishment. It's an unsustainable model. And because Black and brown people, specifically Black and Hispanic people, are becoming the advancing majority in our country, we are going to be reliant on our darker citizen, the darker human being, to buoy the sustenance of our economy. And one of the more significant cogs, impediments to economic mobility for Black people and for Hispanic people is the way that we experience racial inequity and racism at work. So that's why my company does the work that it does, working with organizations all over the world. It's not a DEI play per se, but it is focused on much like any other strategic imperative. You're looking at the headwinds in front of you. You're looking at, any prudent kind of SWOT analysis, the people that we're going to be selling our products and services to, and the folks that we will be relying on to produce those goods and services are coming from communities and are themselves people that most know very little about. So we want to help you change that. In addition to Harper Slade, I also have a program called the Rare Woman Collective, and that is a racial equity program suite specifically for inclined white women who really, really want to know how to be effective and effectual in their own kind of racial equity advocacy work in their homes, with their families, and in their communities. And so the day after the election, the day after the election, once the results were in, I convened a session with the women of the Rare Woman Collective to accomplish a couple of things, to level set us and to remind us about the work ahead, and to encourage. And so I thought I'd share the same in this 3 or 4 part series. I don't know how many, maybe 5 or 6 part series. I thought I'd share that with you. So here we go. All right. I just want to offer my opinion, my thoughts. My opinion, my thoughts. I'm not looking to persuade or to redirect or to correct, condemn, chastise anyone on how they may be feeling or processing the state of the world today versus the state of the world this time last month or maybe a few weeks ago. But I just do want to share with you what I shared with the women who are part of the Rare Woman Collective, to level set and to help us stay the course. So the first point that I want to make is who you are vis-a-vis this work has not, must not change. And so my motto with my organization, because we focus so much on race and the advancement of racial equity as a pathway for multiculturalism in recognition of the demographic trends afoot, we talk about the reality that racial equity, multiculturalism, the advancement of the principles and the ideals of a D and an E and an I, all of that must be healing work. It must heal wounds, not inflict them. And so if that's the case, what's happening around us in some ways is almost irrelevant. What's happening in us, ever relevant. So the work of advancing racial equity, of advancing greater representation priorities, of advancing inclusive workspaces and homes and communities, that work first requires inner work, like the you work, the me work. And that's important because you have to understand your own true north and develop your own character, your own attributes that will govern your how, no matter the what, no matter the outside circumstances, because they are always subject to change and they're always going to be horrible and then great for a minute and then horrible again. So your attributes, what is true in you as an advocate in this work, will always be tested by what's happening outside. It doesn't change what's happening inside. And so for me, in my practice, both as a CEO of Harper Slade Advisors and as the founder and CEO of the Rare Woman Collective, we have a couple of attributes that must be true about us in order to do this work. Well, the first attribute is self-control. Self-control, which means we're not led by, influenced by, or managed by our emotions. The second one is knowing your audience, really being clear about who you are talking to. Who is the audience for DEI work, racial equity work, multiculturalism work? It's usually white, male, able-bodied, heterosexual, the customer that we're all trying to influence on this. You have to understand the psyche, the norms, the hurts, the vulnerabilities of your audience. Like, you got to understand them and not trample all over it. The second attribute that we practice is distinguishing the person from the issue. We are at war with an ideal that says some people matter, others don't, or if you do, it's only contextually, that tends to fall along the lines of race or ethnicity, gender, all kinds of things. For purposes of this discussion, we'll talk about race. And so our foe, our enemy, is the ism that has burdened our society from being able to see the full humanity in people who look like me. It is an ideal. It's not a person. It's not a religion. It's not a political party. Hello. And it's not an individual group of people. It's an ideology that has infested many people, but it is not the people. Maturity requires an understanding of the two. The next attribute is understanding the fundamentals of change management discipline. This is not about being an activist inside of a workplace or bringing in social justice norms into work. Work doesn't know how to contemplate that. They don't know what to do with any of that. And so it's important that you understand that there is a methodology around change management, the psychology of change, the psyche of change, the method, pentameter, rituals of change. You must be a student of that. And then the last attribute that we talk about is optimism. Optimism is a choice, and optimism oftentimes looks very foolish. It will always look foolish in the face of what is, but optimism focuses you on what must be, not what is. And so mindset management is an attribute that's going to be important. Evermore, it's always been important and will be increasingly so in the days to come. So anyway, that's my first video, my thoughts on post-election malaise and confoundment. Let's get up, let's dust ourselves off, let's focus on the inward work, right? Let's remember these attributes, what must be true about us in order to keep doing this work well, and realize that, listen, this is, we have to be who we said we were going to be, no matter the circumstance. So let's focus on being a better version of ourselves. See you next time.